You know that feeling? When you're really wrestling with a big idea, trying to grasp something profound, and you just feel this deep weariness creep in. Not just mental fatigue, but something deeper.
Oh, absolutely. Like the effort itself has a cost.
Exactly. And that's right where we're jumping in today with session 81 of the Law of One. It gets really practical, looking at the effects of the contact on Carla, the instrument, and the group.
But it doesn't stop there. It also zooms way out into some mind-bending cosmology.
It really does. And you, our listener, asked for a beautiful, insightful, engaging, and positive analysis. So that's our aim. We're going to walk through it question by question.
Sounds good. Section 81 kicks off right away focusing on the instrument state.
Yeah, first question, 81.1. Could you first please tell me the condition of the instrument?
And Ray comes back with, the physical complex energy is in deficit due to prolonged psychic accentuation of pre-existing distortions. The other energy levels are stable, they say.
Okay. Prolonged psychic accentuation of pre-existing distortions. That sounds intense. Let's unpack that a bit. What does that really mean for the instrument, practically speaking? And maybe even for us, when we get deep into learning.
Well, it suggests the contact wasn't just passive information download. It was actively, well, accentuating or amplifying things already present in Carla's psychic makeup.
Hmm.
Like, think of shining a bright light through a lens that's got a slight warp.
Ah, okay. The light itself is pure, but the lens makes the distortion more obvious.
Exactly. So in our own deep work, whether it's study or spiritual practice, we might find our own patterns, our own distortions getting magnified. And that focus, that engagement, it can be really draining, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not just adding info, it's intensely working with what's already inside.
Precisely. It highlights her active participation and that it had an energetic cost.
Which leads right into 81.2. Is this the reason for the instrument's feeling of uninterrupted weariness?
Raw gives a nuanced answer here. They say, sometimes that weariness is a symptom of what they call a psychic greeting reaction, like an initial energetic response.
Like a hello from the psychic level causing some fatigue.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But Raw says the continual weariness, the ongoing feeling, isn't that. It's, and this is the key part, an inevitable consequence of this contact.
Okay, so there's the initial reaction, maybe fades a bit, but then there's this deeper, constant weariness tied to the contact itself.
Right. It's fundamental to bridging these different realities.
The inevitable consequence. Wow. So 81.3 asks the obvious follow-up. Why? What's the mechanism here?
And this is where it gets really interesting. Raw explains it's the difference in density. The density Raw keeps Carla's mind, body, spirit safe in during contact versus the density her physical body lives in.
So a vibrational mismatch.
Essentially, yes.
Mm.
As Carla takes on more of Ra's higher density vibration, the coloration of the resting density, they call it our normal third density, starts to feel heavier, more resistant by comparison.
Okay, I think I get that. Like, imagine being used to moving easily in water, then suddenly you're trying to wade through thick mud. The effort is just way more intense.
That's a perfect analogy.
Mm.
The environment's properties feel fundamentally different. And remember, she accepted this consequence as part of her service.
Which just adds another layer of respect for what she undertook. It wasn't easy.
Not at all. Rue even says there's no known way around this energetic difference. It underscores the sacrifice involved.
So, does it get worse over time? That's question 81.4. Is the effective function of the number of sessions? Will it continue to increase?
Rose says the wearying effect will continue, but clarifies it shouldn't be confused with, like, regular physical energy levels. It's more about the feeling of moving through the daily round of experience.
So not like burnout in the usual sense, but daily life just feels heavier?
Yes, exactly. They say the aids they use will still help, but then they introduce something really intriguing, a gradual increase in transparency of the vibrations of the instrument.
Transparency of vibrations. Okay, what does that mean? Question 81.5 asks for clarification.
And Ra gives this image. Weariness of the time-space nature may be seen to be that reaction of transparent or pure vibrations with impure, confused, or opaque environs.
Ah, like pouring crystal clear water into a muddy pond.
That's a great way to put it. The clear water isn't changed, but its interaction with the mud creates friction, resistance.
So as Carla's vibrations become more refined, more transparent, interacting with our denser, opaque third density world creates this energetic drag, which feels like weariness.
Precisely. The more sensitive the system becomes, the more it feels the, let's call it the static of third density.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now what about Don and Jim? Question 81.6 asks if they felt this too.
Ra says, this is quite correct.
So 81.7 follows up. Then we would also experience the uninterrupted wearying effect. Is this correct?
And Ra confirms it, but clarifies. Carla bears the brunt, but the support group experiences maybe 10–15% of it, cumulative,
Why them too?
because of their unqualified support and the energy transfer is happening within the group. They're part of the energetic circuit.
It really shows how connected they were. Even supporting has an energetic effect. It's like they were all in this shared energy field.
Definitely. A collective effort, with Carla as the main conduit,
Yeah.
but everyone participating energetically.
So question 81.8 looks ahead. What could be the result of this continued wearying effect after a long period? What are the risks?
Ra says it's a broad question with many answers, but gives some general possibilities. Losing contact through temptation or lack of faithfulness.
Or even they say a complete martyrdom. Yikes.
Yeah, pretty serious potential outcomes. But then Ra offers encouragement for this group. They praise their balance of love and wisdom, their faithfulness.
That's good to hear. It sounds like the group's intention was key.
Absolutely. Ra says the will of the instrument and group to serve acts as a balance against the weariness, keeping perceptions clear enough for the contact to continue. Without that will, it might just become too much effort.
It really emphasizes the power of commitment, doesn't it?
It really does. Inner resolve matters immensely.
Okay, now for a twist. Question 81.9. The instrument would like to know why she has a feeling of increased vital energy, which seems totally counterintuitive, right?
Right, after all that talk of weariness. And Ra's response is fascinating. We leave this answer to the instrument.
Whoa! They just step back.
Yeah. It could mean maybe that some aspects of individual experience are just beyond even Ra's direct knowing.
Or maybe they wanted her to find the answer within herself.
That's another possibility, encouraging her own introspection. It shows how complex individual responses can be.
Definitely highlights her own interconnection. Then, 81.3 stays personal. She would like to know if she has an increased sensitivity to foods.
And Ra confirms, this instrument has an increased sensitivity to all stimuli. It is well that it used prudence.
Ah, so it connects back to that transparency of vibrations idea.
Exactly. A more refined energy system means heightened sensitivity to everything. Food, sounds, emotions, the works. Makes sense she'd notice it with food.
So basically, we've got to be careful. Okay, big shift now. The session moves into the archetypes, starting with 81.11, revisiting archetype 10.
Right. The catalyst of the body, or the wheel of fortune. The questioner suggests it represents interaction with other selves.
And Russ says,
Roughly correct. They clarify that catalysts are about experiences entering our energy web. The wheel of fortune, specifically, brings both positive and negative stimulus from the outside world, especially other people.
so interactions with others are key catalysts, good or bad. They push us to learn.
Exactly. All interactions hold potential lessons.
Then 81.1, archetype 11, experience of the body, the enchantress. The idea is this represents process catalysts, creating seeds for more growth. Correct.
Ra says this is correct. It's about how we internalize experiences. They don't just disappear, they transform within us and become fuel for future growth, like the enchantress weaving potential.
Cool. Now, 81.13, archetype 13, transformation of body, called death. The idea is it transforms the body to a higher vibration for learning.
Again, Ra says correct, but adds a really important layer,
Oh, what's that?
that each moment, and certainly each diurnal period, offers death and rebirth when we use the catalyst offered.
So not just the end-of-life death, but like many deaths and rebirths all the time.
Exactly. Letting go of old perspectives, integrating new learning, that's a form of death and rebirth happening constantly as we process experiences day by day, moment by moment.
That's a really profound way to look at it. Okay, one more archetype question. 81.14, the way of the body, the alchemist. The idea proposed is it provides infinite time for bodies to learn.
Ross says this one is less than completely correct.
Ah, a correction. What's the refinement?
The way of the body reflects the mind's thrust. The body isn't just passively existing in time, it's the mind's creature, its instrument. It's the Athenor, the alchemist's furnace.
Where the mind, the alchemist, does its work of transformation, manifesting spiritual gold.
Precisely. The body is the active vessel for the mind's alchemical process of growth, not just a passive container floating in time.
Got it. The body as an active tool for the mind's transformation. Okay, then 81.15 signals another big shift.
Yeah, the questioner proposes comparing pre- and post-veiling experiences, going way back to the octave's beginning to understand our situation now.
And the Raj just says, the direction of questions is your provenance. Basically, ask what you want.
Right. opening the door wide to cosmology.
So 81.16 dives right in. Ra knows only this octave, but seems to have complete knowledge of it. Why?
Ra makes two key points. First, nope, not complete knowledge. Seventh density is still partly mysterious even to them.
Okay, so humility even from Ra.
Yes. And second, their extensive knowledge comes from deep experience, refining catalysts over ages, plus careful guidance from their teachers on the path back to oneness.
It really drives home that everyone's learning, even incredibly advanced beings like Ra. It's a continuous journey.
Definitely. No one just arrives fully formed.
Then 81.18 asks, why doesn't Ra know about stuff before this octave began?
Ra uses a great analogy here. Octaves are like islands.
Islands. How so?
To know it's on another island, another octave, you need a vehicle, direct communication or contact from that other place. They have received evidence of past and future creations that way, but it's not inherent knowledge.
Okay, so each octave is its own kind of self-contained reality, and bridging between them takes effort or a specific connection.
Exactly. It limits perspective naturally.
Then the perspective just explodes outwards.
Yeah.
Question 81.19 talks about our Milky Way galaxy, billions of stars, and millions, maybe infinite numbers of other galaxies. Is the number infinite?
And Ra says, precisely correct and a significant point.
Whoa! Infinite galaxies. That's hard to wrap my head around.
It is. The scale is just staggering.
Yeah.
But the questioner immediately makes the connection in 81.20.
The point being that we have unity. Is that correct?
And Ra simply replies, you are perceptive.
So even with infinite diversity, infinite galaxies, it all comes back to underlying unity. Makes sense somehow.
It's a core principle. All arises from the one infinite creator.
Okay, so how much of this infinite creation is Ra directly aware of? That's 81.21 and 81.22. Have they experienced consciousness or traveled to many other galaxies?
Ra clarifies. No direct consciousness experience in many others, but yes, some experience, knowledge, and travel has occurred.
So there's a distinction between general awareness and direct, boots on the ground, energy field on the ground experience.
Pretty much it.
Question 81.23 tries to quantify the travel. How many other galaxies?
But Ra shifts the focus completely. They say they've opened our hearts in radiation of love to the entire creation. About 90% can sense and reply to that love.
So their contact isn't physical travel.
Not primarily, no. It's connection through love, through consciousness. They say all the infinite logoi, galactic consciousnesses, are one in love. That's their main mode of intergalactic connection.
That's beautiful, actually, connection beyond space.
It's a higher density way of being interconnected.
So 81.24 asks about the limits of Ra's direct experience or seeing. Is it just our galaxy, parts of it, other galaxies?
Ra says they can move at will within this logos, our Milky Way. But their movements have been guided by calls to service specific places like Alpha Centauri, our solar system planets, Cepheus, Zeta Reticuli.
All within our galaxy, then? Subsystems within our logo?
Yes, these are specified as sublogoi they've served when called.
And who called? 81.25 asks if it was third density folks like us or higher densities.
Generally, Ra says the calls came from higher densities. The big exception was the call from our own solar system, the sun's sublogos that involved third density beings.
Interesting. So usually it's higher, helping higher, but we were a special case.
Seems that way. Our seeking reached them directly.
Okay, back to other galaxies. 81.26 confirms Ra as a social memory complex hasn't traveled to other major galaxies. Then 81.27 asks, how do they know about consciousness there?
Ra confirms no travel as a group. But they do have knowledge from two sources, wanderers who came from other galaxies to here.
And members of Ra who became wanderers in other galaxies.
Exactly. Plus, they add for fully realized beings, the universe is really one place, travel isn't barred. But their preferred connection method is reaching out in love.
So individual consciousness acts as a bridge, and love transcends the distance. The universe is fundamentally connected for evolved beings.
That's the picture they paint. Physical separation becomes less relevant.
All right, 81.28 brings it back home. All these infinite galaxies, are they all part of the same octave?
Ra confirms this is correct.
Wow. So this whole vast structure, everything we can see and imagine, it's all unfolding within this one single octave of experience.
Mind-boggling, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, if that's true, question 81.29 wonders. Would wanderers going to other galaxies encounter the same dual polarity we have here? Service to self and service to others.
Ra's answer, a clear, this is correct.
So this fundamental choice, this polarization, it's not just local. It's a universal feature of, well, at least third density experience throughout this octave.
That seems to be the implication. a core challenger dynamic of consciousness everywhere in this octave.
Now, 81.3 and 81.31 get into a fascinating pattern. They refer back to an earlier point about service to self polarization maybe being absent near the galactic center, appearing later, farther out. Does that pattern hold in other galaxies too?
Rao says different logoi use different methods to explore free will, but yes, the general pattern holds. Service to self-polarization does tend to appear farther out from the galactic cores.
That's wild. Like there's a developmental pattern to how free will and polarity manifest across galaxies, starting more unified near the center and diversifying outwards.
It suggests a deliberate, perhaps experimental, unfolding of consciousness and its choices across cosmic structures. Really profound stuff.
Okay, 81.32 ties this together beautifully. At the octave's beginning, you have the core, spirals forming. Was the experiment of veiling consciousness and extending free will happening roughly simultaneously in many of these emerging galaxies?
Ra's response is emphatic. You are precisely correct. They also gently note the instrument is fragile, reminding us of the human cost of channeling this huge information. It's a stunning concept, a coordinated, octave-wide launch of this particular phase of consciousness evolution, happening in countless infant galaxies all at once.
Like a synchronized cosmic breath. Which leads to the last big question, 81.33. If this was simultaneous, was there communication? Did knowledge of the experiment spread rapidly among these budding galaxies?
Raz says, yes, absolutely. Understanding this communication is understanding the nature of the logos, the unifying consciousness of this octave.
How does that communication work?
Rad compares it to the cells in a body. What one learns, all know. Much of creation never really separated from the central logos and remains within the creator. Sublogoi then take the initial learnings and refine them further.
So the octave is like one vast, interconnected consciousness, a cosmic organism sharing knowledge instantly through the logos.
That's the essence of it, a profound unity underlying all the diversity, enabling shared learning and evolution.
Amazing. The session wraps up with 81.34, just checking on Carla's comfort and the contact.
Yes, a caring close. Rad advises approaching each session with the right energy configurations and reassures the group they're doing well, their alignments are good. Then they leave in love and light.
A gentle landing after such a cosmic flight. Session 81, wow. From the very personal weariness of the contact
To the archetype shaping our bodily experience.
all the way out to infinite galaxies, universal polarity, and the interconnectedness of the entire octave through the logos. Just incredible scope.
What really stands out alongside the cosmology is that persistent theme of dedication and service. Carla and the group facing the energetic toll, highlighted by Ra, that's powerful.
It truly is. Their commitment really shines through. For you listening, maybe consider that interconnectedness we talked about. How does it resonate with your own path of learning?
Yeah, and perhaps that feeling of weariness sometimes when you're stretching your understanding. Maybe it's just your own vibrations learning to harmonize with new, denser information, like Ra described with Carla.
Or reflect on that idea of polarity, service to self, service to others being a fundamental choice across countless galaxies. What does that say about the core nature of consciousness in our octave?
Lots to ponder.
Indeed.
Go forth in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Namaste.
I am you and you are me.